Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome to the first school board workshop of the new year. So I'd like to bring in our first workshop of January 13th. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm going to hand it over to Wendy, Vice Chair Atkinson, for her to do her thing.
Thank you. So the very first thing on the agenda is the Progress Monitor 2, PM2. So I'd like to call it to the table, Mr. Edward.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing? Excited to be here today and share with you kind of what our second semester in Charlotte County Public Schools is going to look like. If you recall, last year we didn't have the calendar where we could do some professional learning prior to the start of the second semester. Obviously HR worked very hard in getting that set up so that we could have 2 days when we come back, one for the teachers to work on their grades, but also one for us to have professional learning at each of the schools to kick us off into the second semester. So what we were able to do was move all of our testing into December. And then once that was done, we had Mr. Dunnicky put together all the data. And then we got together with the principals on Monday, January 5th. We went over kind of the 10,000-foot view of our data, and then we gave them some things to go forward and have professional learning with their schools at the school level. And so what I want to do is I want to go through that presentation that we went over with the administrators and discuss what then they did with their schools and answer any questions that you have. So first of all, we came in that we wanted common goals to the district goals, common goals to school goals. And then part two of that day that we had with them was to analyze their specific data so that they could kind of go back to their teachers and do the presentation that we did for them. They could do that with their teachers. So there we have our DSP goal. And then what does it look like at all grade levels? And the central theme around our professional learning this year was every student getting a learning gain. How do we try to get every student to get a learning gain and have that growth? And I think if I go back one, you can see that every student deserves to grow was kind of a little mantra that we put in there. So here were our focus points. For semester one, things that we honed in on for semester one. Again, we're bringing in model schools, we're doing the PBIS, the MTSS, instructional coaching has been huge. All things that we started last year, yes?
Can I interrupt for a quick?
Yeah.
When you're talking about the PBIS and the acronyms, could you do me a favor just for the people that might be watching and just say what they are?
Sure. So PBIS is Positive Behavior Intervention Systems, is that right, Jack? Mm-hmm. And then MTSS is Multi-Tiered Support System. So really it's just kind of the behavior and the supports to a child's education, providing them with the best opportunity to learn through these programs and these reinforcements that we do. Obviously, we gave in semester one additional support for C schools. What did that mean? That meant that we would have CNIs at those schools a little bit more. We would have our administrative coaches, Matt Cutter and Sheila Brown at those schools. We would have Jack at those schools working on the discipline side, really making sure that we were kind of just providing them the additional resources that they needed. And then obviously the support for the increasing the graduation rate and the college and career acceleration, or CACR. So those are all things that we did in the first semester. Again, the key to us was we had started them last year. We now had some momentum into them. It wasn't new for anyone. Instructional coaching, someone walking into a teacher's classroom and helping them wasn't new. So that was some good stuff there. So then we went into the mid-year data. And again, if we look at this data piece, anything in white was last year's scores. Anything in blue was this year's scores as of Progress Monitoring 2 or PM2. And our columns here represent what we did in proficiency. So where we were at with the middle of the year proficiency, the middle of the year learning gains, and the middle of the year lowest 25 learning gains. These three components are three components that were graded up, right, from the state. So we want to pay particular attention to them. And then we broke them out by grade. Anything in green represents we were ahead of where we were last year. Anything in red means we were behind where we were last year, maybe causing an area of concern, something for us to look into. And if it's in black, it just represents the fact that it was the same score as last year. As you can see in proficiency, we were 3 percentage points ahead in proficiency, and our proficiency numbers are all in the green, so that was a positive for us. As you look at the learning gains and the learning gains for the lowest 25% of our children, you will see that we do have some pockets of red. Again, areas of concern, we need to pay attention, dive a little bit deeper, not only within the grade level, but within the school. We do the same thing for math. Again, our proficiency was equal where we were last year. We were down by 3 percentage points in our learning gains, but we were up 6% with our lowest 25 children. Again, pockets of green, pockets of red, areas of concern. We look at across maybe grade 6 as a place where we really have to dive deep. What's going on there? Are we providing the right resources to them? And then when we look at the other tested areas with the state, we have the EOCs, and just as a reminder, we do our own EOC mid-year testing. The state does not provide us with these tests. So within these tests, over the years, we've tried to correlate them as best as possible to what the state results would be at the end. You can see obviously in algebra, we had a downtick. Part of that is we readjusted the test this year to represent a much more rigorous test after our math CNI went to a state testing meeting and really kind of saw the test and all that. So that's really not a true. Hopefully that pans out to be a better representative at the end of the year on where we need to be. But still, we have a concern there, right? So we need to dive into what's going on in algebra. Any questions so far? Okay. So what we were able to provide the schools with to really dive down to the student level is the quadrant sheet. And the quadrant sheet was available so that every teacher could actually go into each one of their periods and see where students are right now, okay? And so we define students as on track or not on track, right? And so if they were not on track based on a learning gain, based on a metric, they would show up on the left-hand side, and if they were on track, they'd show up on the right-hand side. All this to say that we're not going to stop paying attention to any children that we teach, but what we are going to do is make sure that we get extra interventions and pay close attention to the students who are not yet meeting kind of this on-track metric that we've put together. So very helpful for the teacher to take a look at that, and then on top of that, which is not on here, we were able to kind of help them say, okay, which children now who aren't on track also don't we know about, right? So we know about students who might be a discipline problem. We know about students who might be in attendance problems. Maybe our ESE students have an IEP. We have students with 504s. All of those students we're very aware of at the school level and at the teacher level of those kids. So what kids that don't have any of those are still not kind of on track. So that's where the teacher could say, okay, I see that Sally or Danny comes to school every day. They're not a problem. However, they're not learning along with the other kids. So how do I provide them with additional support? And then one of the key, we wanted to be specific on the elective areas, because a lot of times, at the elementary level, teachers teach English, math, science, social studies for the most part. They're all in. At the secondary level, some teachers are like, oh, well, that's not relevant to me because my kids, I teach art, or I teach band, or I teach PE, and what does ELA and math scores have to do with me? So what we really wanted was a complete buy-in from every teacher. So the data that I showed you with the quadrants, we provided to every elective teachers. Do you know the kids in your class who are not meeting or aren't on track for English language arts and or math, and having conversations, building a relationship, something as simple as that could make a difference in a child and how they test, especially when it comes up to testing time. Hey, I know you have a test coming up. I know you're prepared for it, so you're ready to go, just those small conversations. So we really wanted to incorporate, so this was what we suggested to schools. They could do it however they wanted, but our suggestion is that here's how we would integrate kind of the different electives into this PL, which was the entire school. And it wasn't allowing certain segments of groups to go do something else. This was a full school professional learning. So the biggest part of the day was on January 5th when we met with administrators, was allowing them to have time to create their professional learning for January 6th. Because it was new to them, because it was the first year, we had to provide them with all that information. And we didn't really kind of let on where we were going prior because we didn't have the data, right? Doug had to work on the data over break, and so therefore everything was kind of new to them on the 5th. And I think what we'll see as we go forward, because we do have the 2 days again next year before we start with students, schools will already understand what we're doing and where we're going with it. So when they're done with those tests next year, which is kind of mid-December, late December, some of that data can get to them a little bit sooner and they can already start planning for what that professional learning day looks like. The teachers will know what the expectation is when they're doing that PL day, and we'll talk about what their expectation is from the admin in a second. You'll see it on these slides. So again, we just wanted to try to determine some trends. Really good work going on by Matt, Sheila, Doug, that group. I received a document today from them where it broke down by teacher, what teacher had the learning gains, what teacher had the proficiency. I got that next to benchmarks, what the most common missed benchmarks were on PM2 by grade level, so schools. So we can go to a school who might be having an issue with poetry, but school C might not be having any issue there. They might be having a different benchmark that they're not meeting. So really kind of getting into the granular level of where each school, each teacher maybe needs improvement or area of concern, however we want to say.
Hey, Bud, real quick on
Yes.
that last page, number
Yep.
2, where it says create your action plan, is the action plan documented or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think one of the last slides here talks about it, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to look at the action plans as well. Yeah, thank you. And again, so valid point is that at the end of the day, from the PL on January 6th, we wanted to make sure that teachers were able to give something to their administrators on how they were going to approach the students. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask from the administrators, how are you going to do that? And we'll talk about that. So on here, I didn't include the links, but basically each one of these was a link for what we had prepared for the schools. We did not want to say, hey, good luck, go create something, but we also didn't want to say you have to do this. So these were all links that they could use. Obviously, they would used the quadrants and all, but the mid-year action planner for teachers, it was, here's our suggestion. If you want to do it a different way, here's the things we want in it, but you can make it yours. It's your school. But again, giving them that option to say, oh yes, we like what the district did and we'll use that, or no, we'll go our own way, but we'll still cover it the same way. So here's what we did for the part 2. The other important thing on here would be update the mid-year SIP, right? The school improvement plan. We turn one in at the beginning of every year. And it's very important for us to make the connection so that administrators don't believe they're doing busy work in one area and then doing something else in another area. So part of that is the fact that we truly believe that the school improvement plan for their school should incorporate any changes or anything they're doing here. So part of what we're asking as we go forward in our data chats is, did you correctly identify your areas of need? Were they different at PM2? And if they were, how did you change and correct that in that school improvement plan? And then did you allocate any additional resources to it? As you know, schools get school improvement dollars that have to be utilized through the school improvement plan. They have to be voted on by the school advisory committee in order to use those funds. So how does it all connect, right? Because we don't want people thinking they're just doing busy work at any time. So, questions on that? The data protocol, which is part of our DSP, we have a data protocol on how we look at data, how we analyze it, all of that. So we wanted to go through that. Again, when we look at the data review, what are the facts of the data? What are the trends? What pops out? All those things. So we just wanted to draw their attention to that. The fourth part, which is nice, what are the glows and grows, right? It's a good way of saying how do we need to improve in some areas, right? We need to grow. I saw this being used at a couple of schools very effectively as teachers were looking over their data. The whole key to anything that we do with this is that there has to be the trust factor, is as you share data, there is no judgment on that data. It is just how we improve, because when we talk about that improvement, we're talking about improving learning for students and children. So at the schools that, we went out to all the schools that I attended, it was very evident that there was a super trust factor within the faculties and no one was pointing fingers, regardless of how good or maybe needs improvement the data was. So again, this was a suggestion. We saw some schools do it with partners, but we saw some schools do it with grade levels. So when they were reflecting and talking, because within a grade level you could have, 3 teachers that had really good data and 1 teacher that maybe the data needed to improve. So again, how do we get that collaboration with the PLCs that we've pushed out last year, so that they're all in it together? And there was some great conversation. It was the 6th was a great day. And then finally, the main piece of it was the action plan. How are you, as a principal, assistant principal, going to monitor what your teachers are telling you they're going to do? So we had pushed out an action plan. They could use it. They didn't have to. There were components that they needed. It was diving down to the student level. How were they going to kind of change instruction and or look at shifts in centers, all of that. But they had to report back to the admin teams with a written plan. And then now what we're going to do is, okay, how are we going to monitor the administrators to make sure they're monitoring the teachers? And if you're assigning people to monitor them, which we would, right? The principal can't do it all. So maybe they assign an assistant principal for math and they're in charge of ELA. Okay, what is the oversight there within the internal structure? If you're asking your coaches to be part of it, how is their oversight there? Maybe your department heads. So that was a big part of it. then we provided them strictly with kind of, okay, if you need resources, who do you need to reach out to, right? So we want to make sure that we're very clear on everything and on who they need to reach out to for the resources. Again, they can reach out to any of us quicker when they go to the correct person, so we just point that out. And then, so what are the next steps with what we did on January 5th and January 6th? The most important next step is our January data chats with all schools. So we have schools broken into, there's 2 cohorts at elementary, each with 5 schools. There's a cohort of middle school, cohort of high school. They're going to come in room 156 with each other in there. They're going to go over a specific list of questions that I asked them. We expect those data chats, each school to present for about 20 to 25 minutes on the different areas that we've asked them about, on all of their resources, on what they need, on where they're going, how they're utilizing things that we've given them, who's in charge, how are they meeting as a team. It's a pretty comprehensive list that we just want answered in kind of bullet form. When we did it at the beginning of the year, we were probably a little bit too much in general on the statement that we were asking for, and all of them were kind of in different places. They interpreted the question a little bit differently, so I was much more specific on what I wanted addressed and what they had to address in it. And so really it is truly about the oversight of their plan, how they're going to continue that plan, because we don't want that plan to go onto the shelf and we just go back to what we're doing. That's what we have to avoid. So what goals have they set, resources they need? We are also adding a 3rd data chat this year, which will be before we go into the testing season, because we want to say, okay, here's what you told us you were going to do. Did you do it? What are you seeing? How are you feeling? What else do you need? What other resources do you need? We have the early release days, where the early release days, we will give them, we will help them create based on what they did in their PO, right? So it all ties back in. So the PO will be about an area that they may need additional help in, and that will be by school. So we're starting those conversations as we speak, because that day, the first one's coming up in February. We will have the district, targeted district learning communities. And basically, you saw how 6th grade was kind of maybe a area of concern. We're going to get those teachers together with our math C&I. If it's in math, if it's in ELA, it will be with Heather. And we're going to have some good conversations about what's working, what's not working. So more of a broader level than just a school level where we see the need. And we're in the process of getting those scheduled as we speak. And then really from the division of learning, what are we doing? So every week we will meet. We will look at the schools, who has asked for additional help, who hasn't that needs it. And then we're going to push our resources in. And we're going to create this ongoing weekly schedule where we talk about the schools every week. The 2 individuals that probably will drive that the most are Matt and Sheila, because they're out at the schools. They know where we need to go. They have all the data in front of them. So then we'll get with Lisa and Laura and Nikki and say, okay, who needs more ESE support? Who needs more PL? Who needs more curriculum work? And so that'll be on a weekly basis, and we've started that spreadsheet. And I spoke to the CNIs on Friday to say, you have what you've scheduled, but also understand we're gonna ask you to go to some places and really help out. So that's our plan as we go forward. Again, we're excited about the opportunity to have an entire semester 2 of instruction. We don't have to worry about tests in the middle of January and then trying to restart again. So, questions?
Not a question, but a statement.
Statement.
After 13 years of this, and it's really nice not to have to look behind the curtain. The way that you're interacting with the schoolhouses from the district level is just so refreshing compared to what I saw in the past.
Thanks,
So
I appreciate it. I think transparency is the best way, and I think that we have to go in all wanting to be better and not judging people on performance issues, so, you know, that's the only way to go, so.
I don't have a question, but a comment also, like Bob. Great job as always to Doug for putting all the data together. No easy task, and I know Matt and Sheila were a big part of that, but what's really good about the plan is you package it. You package the data, and not just here's the data, but here's what you're looking at. And, you know, here's the positives and here's the negatives. Now, what are you gonna do about it? And you package that so that everyone's on the same page. So like Bob said, the transparency is out there. The expectation is out there. Everyone's on the same page, and looking forward to seeing the growth of these kids with their ratings. Good
Yeah,
job.
we are too, thank you. And we had a school that some of the teachers, the feedback was, this is the best PL we've had, led by their administration since, for probably 2 or 3 years. And
I might add,
that
you created a great package, but you're creating a great system so that it can be replicated each year, so that what you're looking at, what Doug's looking at, the principals can also figure out.
Right, absolutely, and I think, you know, within that systems, we want to be consistent because, I think the beauty of our team is that we have many eyes that are looking at it from the principal to the teacher level. How does it affect the teacher, right? Because anything we put out, the effect on the teacher is where it has to, it's either made or not made, right? And because they're the ones that are doing the work. They do the work with the kids every day. So we need to make sure that one, it makes sense to them at that level. And so from our experience, I think that's a great lens that we're able to still look at and say, okay, how will this affect the teachers? But on the second part of that is how you do or do not change things as you go along, right? So we're into the second semester. We're going. The last thing we want to do is throw a wrench and say, oh, we need to change something that we've planned to do, right? Because they kind of get into their world and they go, which is what we want them to do. So I think that's a great thing that we're trying to do and continue it year after year. It's not just the 1 year, it's how do we build off of the year to the next year, and that's the fun part, putting that system in place, seeing how it works, what goes right, what goes wrong, reflection, and trying to make it better each time, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I got a comment. Ms. Montre, were you gonna say something?
Yep.
Okay, so, I'll try to keep it brief. Madam Chair, Vice Chair. So, you've heard me say this many times. Your system is perfectly aligned to the results that it gets. And we know that to get to where we collectively wanna be, we have to look at doing things differently, look at our systems differently. And last year, we started really focusing on learning gains. What you saw here, heard here this morning, takes that to the next level. We're not just hoping we're making learning gains. Now we have a plan to get to the learning gains and to monitor the learning gains. And I think hats off to Mr. Bedford and the Department of Learning and working, and hats off to our principals too. It really is a collaborative effort to get us to where we collectively need to be. And I'll just emphasize one point that Mr. Bedford said. This room was packed full of administrators and coaches, and tomorrow it'll be packed full of administrators and district leadership, and we'll be talking about principal meeting and agendas, going through all that. But we know if it doesn't change instruction at the classroom level, then we're not going to be happy with the results. And so that's, I think, the beauty of this plan, that really drills down to a specific individual teacher and how can we support them to support their students. So I'm excited, I'm optimistic, and looking forward to see what results we'll get from this.
I am too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You guys need to change.
Okay, next up
You're
we
on.
have priority 4, the district strategic plan. Mr. Harvey.
Hey, Mr. Hill.
And Mr. Eflin.
Good morning, everyone. We're here to present DSP 4. I'm gonna
Did you guys plan that? You were perfectly
we're-
aligned.
It's
You're
your
out there.
I'm sure they called each other this morning.
Apparently called him this morning and, even down to the shoes, we got everything. We're like, this is great, this is good stuff, I almost drove home with Chase. So, we're here to do, DSP four. Got really a lot of exciting stuff, to share. We're gonna hit some of the highlights and I'll throw in some other things, but we really have done, I feel like, a ton in this area in the last 3 to 4 years, so, I think you'll be impressed with what we're about to show you today. This is our team, and you can see the dates that we've been meeting, and it's a well mix of different types of folks. We even have some law enforcement people and their school people, facilities people, technology people, all in our group. So we really feel like we have a very good team. Finance people, obviously, in there too, and we even have Jack in there.
Thank you.
We're priority 4. We'll purposely allocate resources that maximize success for all. And here are objectives. Systematically analyze, review facilities and support services for improved district outcomes, and create a funding model that considers both student enrollment and school needs represented in the district strategic plan and the school improvement plan. And here on strategy 1, these are the action steps that we're following into the spring and ongoing. And we're going to get into these a little deeper here in the next few slides, but these are things that we're continuing to move into the spring of 26, and our ongoing is update our facilities plans as needed on a yearly basis. Now, as I just said earlier, the last 3 or 4 years, we've really done a lot of base lifts or remodels of facilities, and these are up here. These are the ones that are completed. Full remodels of Elliott Ager, Murdoch Middle School, the Academy, the clinic. There'll be some pictures following up there. The clinic, Port Charlotte High ticket booth, Port Charlotte High advanced manufacturing classroom, dual classrooms. There's 2 in there. There's some pictures of that. New furniture at Port Charlotte Middle, and Port Charlotte High. Also, there's a few things I left off the list, like the room we're standing in now. Several conference rooms in this building. We've added some rooms, put some walls up in certain rooms in the MCO. Out front, we're gonna just talk about that. And all new flooring at Sally Jones Elementary School, the facelift we gave at Port Charlotte High School, or some other ones that we have completed in the last couple of years. Ones that are in progress, Port Charlotte High's concession stand is about half done. Charlotte High airplane hangar is about 30 days away from being done. The book depository building you're seeing out here, we're hoping that'll be done sometime in February. That's going to be a really, I know the Division of Learning is looking forward to that getting opened up. And then we're in the planning stages for the advanced manufacturing building out of Woodland Drive near the airport. And, there's a lot of eyes on that. Private businesses that are very excited that we're jumping into that venture there.
I'm sorry, do we have a projected completion date on that?
Right, as of right now, it's January of 27.
Okay.
Okay, so about a year away. That's it's a bold goal, but as of right now, we feel like it's doable. There's always construction delays, but that's where we're hoping at this point. The CTC hangar at the airport is basically weeks away from completion, so I know there's a ribbon cutting coming up for that. We got some pictures in here of that. It's another beautiful facility. West County Transportation Building, that was pretty much destroyed during Hurricane Ian, and we are about a month out from that being ready for them to move back in. So there's some pictures of that. It's really coming out nice, and then we are getting ready to finally take down the West County Maintenance and Operations Building out there that from Ian, and we're going to be putting up a new facility there. Again, we're working with insurance on that one. Okay, and then in the fall of 26 is when we want to create the committee of SAC members to survey the exteriors of schools, and the reason for that is our landscaping team, which we had assembled last time we talked. We have that team now, and I'm happy to say they've already done a once over at all of our schools to clean up all the landscaping, and now they are into the phase as we see out front here, where we're starting to add to our landscaping. So MCO was the first one, and there's finishing up a few things here, and when they're done here, we'll be developing plans for all of our other schools. So, and again, we're committed to keeping this group. This is what they do. We don't pull them to cut grass or help with the carpenter or anything. This is what this team is, a dedicated team just for this. And that came out of, I think the first meeting of the DSP committee talked about that. So again, I think the DSP matters, and this is a direct correlation of something that came out of, I think, the initial meeting that we are now implementing for our district.
They do a far better job than the school board members did.
You are right, let me tell you, I'm just gonna say, that the people sitting here, except for John, John got out of it, will remember our beautification days, where the board members and the administrators were outside shoveling mulch. The problem with mulch has to be replaced, so I'm very happy that you've got the shale rock out there now.
Yes, and we won't be using the shale at the schools, because those, you know, get,
The windows as well.
Make sure it's on record that I did get out of the district one, but I was at the Port Charlotte Middle School doing their
I did that one too, by the way. So we're no longer, the point is, we're no longer gonna be having board members do the
Yes,
landscape.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And the other good thing about, again, reason why it's important to have a team is, a lot of us are school folks, you get the PTO or somebody comes and they put something in, and then, it just gets abandoned after a while. It just happens. That won't be happening anymore. These will all be maintained, and we have timers to water stuff and everything, so it should be just continued to look good. And I can tell you, I was telling Mark, I get lots of text messages from principals or APs, like after they've done the once over, like, oh my goodness, things already look so much better. So, and again, so we're going to start adding mulch and some plants and stuff at all of our facilities. So we're very excited about that. Okay, the Wellness Center. You remember that we did a full makeover on that, and now it's blue. So now we get to tell people, there's that, where is it? It's that one lone blue building over there by all the garden buildings. The garden buildings. So Mr. Bedford, the garden buildings. Okay. So here's the nice lighted sign that's inside of the Wellness Center, and here's the sign out front. And you can see it's all redone. That's West County Transportation, if you haven't been out there. This was about a week ago. At the nice sun on the front of it, I took this picture. So, but anyhow, nice stainless steel. Big drive from the house. We never had this before. Our air compressors were outside before. This little piece is brand new, and they're inside. And so it looks great. New roof, everything else. The whole inside, all the walls are all brand new. And again, about a month out from getting our folks back into there. That's out of West County. There's our hangar at Charlotte High. Remember last time I showed this picture, it was just a little piece of dirt. So you'll see we're about there, but you got the nice front area here where all the, when they're working outside, the planes and their strapped down areas. And when you guys do a walk, you're gonna really be impressed. It's gorgeous inside. And there's the whole walk area all the way over to the school. It's all covered. We're very happy with that. And here's an interior picture. And here's right up front. These doors are on motors, obviously, they open and close. Really happy with the progress on it. This is gonna be, this here will be a classroom, there'll be walls here, and there's another little small classroom that'll be right here too. This is the CTC hangar at the airport. Really nice. Here's some interior shots. Again, the ribbon cutting's coming up for this. You guys will be at that, but it's a very, very nice facility. There was a lot of teamwork that went into getting this built, as you guys all know. I'm very happy with that as well. Here's the concession stand at Port Charlotte High. Obviously, this is the front of it. As many of you know, we've had to always order bathrooms for football games at Port Charlotte High because the amount of people, porta johns and stuff. So there's, there'll be 2 of these, but you'll see tons of facility. The bathrooms, this again is centrally located. Your softball field and baseball field are over here. Football field is here. and there'll be sidewalks that'll shoot out to all of them. So this is gonna be for all the different
Hey,
athletics.
Jeff, are the restrooms attached to the concession?
Yes.
Oh, so it's on
Yep.
the backside?
It's on the other side, yeah, shoots out the back of this, John, yep, right back in here, yep.
So
And
the
here,
old, the old concession, is that being leveled?
we're gonna keep that and use it, we're gonna let, athletics use it for, storage. We're gonna take the walls out of it, so this will be one big room. And we're gonna put a, like a garage door on it, so they can get going, yep. Advanced manufacturing was a big push, for Port Charlotte High, so this was just from last week. You can see it's up and running. 2 classrooms with a large walkway between the 2 classrooms, and they're doing all their advanced manufacturing stuff. I don't know other way to say it there, but it's going very well. And again, we put the new flooring and the new lighting and everything in there, and getting good feedback on that as well. And what else we got? And there is the front of here. And again, on this, we still have the slab for the lunch area. That'll have a bunch of hedges around it, which is on that side. When you enter the side right there, there'll be a slab right there with a picnic table on it, and there'll be a nice hedge built around that. As you know, the sidewalk, how it dips as you're walking into the front, we're gonna get that all squared away so it won't be underwater when it rains. We're gonna get that all cleaned up as well. And here's the book depository. And we're hoping that'll be done in about another 30 days. They're putting the drywall in this week inside, and that should go pretty quick. And these 2 parking spots here will be gone because right now this is already all cement here in the front. And then the truck will be able to back right up and take the jacks, the pallets right off, and they'll go right in there. That's that. And that's what we've been doing with facilities. Any questions?
Marcus, that's how we're paying for it all now, is that way?
That's part of it. So Marcus is gonna dive into, we talked about our classrooms, so there's also that technology piece to classrooms. So Marcus and his team did a deep dive into the technology that we're using in classrooms, and he's going to share all that.
I want to compliment you and thank you. When we first started the district strategic plan, remember we had community members and teachers and principals and everybody came together, and it was clear from the beginning, focus on student achievement. But we also heard, don't forget about our facilities. There's some inequity in our facilities, and we're starting to get there. We're getting there because of you and your team and the committee. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to what Mark was saying. We've come such a long way, and also thank you, Mark, because you made that a priority. Just in our existing facilities, how good they look in our, some of the school buildings that have looked so tired for so long. We've revamped that, we've done it. The visual, just in, the positive response we're getting from the community has been great, so good job.
Well, I think, I just think it matters, pride in your the school that you're walking into every day. I as a former principal, as a school person, I do think it matters, and I appreciate the comments, but I think we're in the right direction. Thank you.
All right, so as Jeff was saying too, kind of my area now that I've taken over as Chief Technology Officer, kind of blends both of these areas. A classroom is more than just walls and, desks now. There's technology in there. And I think it's very important that we're purposeful when making decisions on well, what does the classroom look like? So as I kind of dive into that in the next slides, just keep that in mind. Mine kind of bridges both sides. So 25-26, we're continuing to develop a staffing plan based on enrollment. If you remember, we did the school-based staffing plan last year. That's been in effect this year. Now we're looking at departments and non-school-based staff as well. So once we have that done, that'll continue going into next year. But as part of this as well as we're developing a high-quality and comprehensive technology plan. One, it's got to be sustainable, but it also has to be academically focused. That's why we're here. So that's something we haven't had here in a while. There used to be funding tied to that back when we had the technology plan, but that funding went away. The plans went away. So I think that's important to have that so we know what we're going forward with. Obviously, our ongoing steps continue to evaluate all the priority areas when doing the budgets, but continue to take feedback from teachers and staff regarding technology in the district. That's been an important thing, and you'll see some of the charts and graphs that we have here for that. My favorite thing to do is asking questions, right? Are we prioritizing? Is this a need? Is this a want? So what other tools do we have to do this? And this expands outside of technology, but kind of just in all areas. So, IT leadership, we walk through, it's closer to 200. I personally went through 180 classrooms, so that's why I cited that one. but there was a couple areas that I didn't get through. But we walked through all buildings, all grade levels, kind of looking at things. We gathered through observation, just kind of watched how they were using it, how they were using it for instruction, and then conversations with teachers. So similar to how Jeff went through before when he did the facilities condition assessment, we did the same thing here. We looked at, are the devices present, open, and charged? And I want to be reminded that we went through impromptu. We some days they weren't using them. That's good, right? They shouldn't be using them every day, I don't think. Other days they were using them. We went into classrooms that happened to be just leaving as we got in there, so we got to see transition periods and how that applies. So that all kind of comes in here. But then we also kind of saw, we have flat panels or projectors or displays in there. Are they in use? So just a yes or no is not necessarily a good or bad indicator. It's just how is the technology being used in the district. We have all of these stats, and I know the graph's a little small and you guys have access to it, so we'll make sure that you can see through there and ask any questions that you have. But who's using the display and in what fashion? So was it just the teacher? Were they using it as a projector? Were they actually using it as an interactive panel? What were they doing with it? One of the things that we talked about at the elementary school especially is every elementary school, if you go into every single classroom, one of the things that we noticed and that teachers gave us feedback and administrators were all of the boards are mounted on the wall at the exact same height regardless of grade level. So what I noticed is in many of the K through 2 classrooms, we can use about a third of the board because that's all they can reach. So you just see, all the fingerprints are about here down because that's what the kids can reach, right? So is that appropriate? Is that the height that we should do? We're developing this comprehensive plan. Standards for what does a classroom look like, right? So it's a K2 classroom. Those types of things need to be in that plan that we were consistent across the district as well. Other kind of metrics we looked at is the audio system in classrooms. This was one that studies show, and not only studies, but IEPs require in a lot of cases to have classroom audio in the classroom. So I wasn't super pleased to see 64% of the classrooms we went through not using anything. Now some of it was the teacher didn't want to use it, but a lot of it was we put classroom audio in 20-something years ago and haven't updated it. So it's not working. We have several new buildings that have brand new audio systems, and I can say that in those, nearly every classroom it was in use at the elementary. So
we're moving through the whole district.
correct. So these are important things as to answer the question of, well, why are we doing stuff? The classroom audio systems, it's not a cheap system, but it can't be used. That's why, we're doing those different things. Carts are not cheap either. Are they being used? Are they neat? Are they orderly? Those types of things. Do we have the correct cart? All of those types of questions. The other thing we're looking at is ergonomics and functionality for the teacher stations. Like, are they just floating around with it because they have nowhere to put it? Is there a designated spot for it? Those types of things. This one, the reliability checker, there are visible signs of network failure. So I think 93% is pretty good, but we still have to address the 7% of what were those issues? Was it an issue with the website that day? That's possible. It might not even have been an issue on our side, but those are important things to make sure that the stuff behind the scenes is being taken care of as well, because everyone's on the wireless right now. I mean, I walk into a room and I notice there's an access point there and there's one over there and things like that, but most people don't. So those things are important. Make sure the placement and everything is correct. We get in more to the academics of it as well. Are they using it productively and focused rather than being distracted? Now,
some of it, again, it's not just necessarily a bad thing that they were distracted on it. Maybe they had, you know, a little bit of free time or something that they had to do with it. You know, is the teacher actively monitoring and not sitting at their desk? Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. We pay for tools that they can monitor from their desk. You know, do we have the right tools, or does the tools not work? So there's a lot more questions that go into asking that there. So we went through kind of all of these areas and kind of put in, and mind you, this is, you know, the IT leadership's opinions of what we're seeing and observing. But, you know, a lot of us have a lot of years of technology experience, so I think that that's, you know, pretty helpful in here as well. That's kind of what I had. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on that. And hope to bring a technology plan to you guys this spring to kind of go through. It's already over 80 pages, so but a lot of it is very important that we're being intentional and purposeful behind why we're making these decisions. Because I don't want to buy technology because it's shiny and cool. You know, there should be a reason behind it. So.
I really like your focus on the audio. In the
Yeah, those of
classroom.
us
That's
that have
huge.
been around a long time, remember when we first got that, it was like the greatest
The
tool
yellow
ever.
Greatest toy that we.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and it's, and you know, now we're putting in the most modern version of it now through all of our schools. Yes.
I have a quick question. Thank you for the information, good information. But how do you sleep at night? Obviously, chief financial officer, technology officer, those are two full-time jobs.
Yeah, good
Being
people.
sarcastic, but, you know, great
No,
job.
I have really good teams. We have people with a lot of years of experience, not only just in the district, but just in general. You know, I have great people that help me, you know, do all this. So if I didn't have that, I would sleep less.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, anybody need a break? Okay, so the next item we have is the ballot language for the referendum, and I'd like to call Mrs. Sue Seifert up to the table to be part of the conversation. She was instrumental in running the referendum committee the very first time we put this on the ballot back in 2018, and she's been on the committee ever since.
Hi, Sue. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Let me just say, you know, having been a part of this so many years ago, it is so exciting to see what's happening. I'm blown away with every area. It's not just, it's everywhere. So good job. And that'll help me be even more inspired as I go out and talk about this.
All right, so would you like to start this off, or?
Sure.
Okay.
So I think you have a proposal in front of you. It's currently at 68 words. I think we can go up to 75 words. This has been a process to get us to this point. It has been reviewed by, I know the board has taken a look at this a few months to vote. Yes, committee has reviewed it as well. So we still have a little bit more time, but we're getting close to the point where we need to make a decision. I think if we could shoot for February, having it approved by the board so we can get it to the county commissioners in March, then we're doing well. So I think last time we left this was just, we had to make a decision on a few words, and then I think the big topic that we left, do we include anything about charter schools? So with that, board, I'll turn it back over to you and see how far we can get.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, you're right, we are so close, and I want to thank Sue again for joining us, and I know she comes to us as a representative from the Vote Yes Committee, correct? And I know they had some strong recommendations, so I don't know if you want to get to those now, or does anyone want to jump in first?
I'll say one thing just because I think it'll help inform the conversation. So the way we left it at the last meeting was that it was going to be very important to have buy-in from the people who live in Down Country. That was around the whole conversation on charter schools and knowing how many new voters we have out there. Since I've confirmed, the population is 13,400. They have 1,000 new Republican voters that have registered just since the last election. So that will be influential in what the vote will be. And the way we left it was that we asked the superintendent to have a conversation with Mrs. Treese, who is the head of schools there. And she has agreed to serve on the committee. I spoke with her this morning and asked her opinion about including charter schools in the language. And her opinion was that we did not need to include it in the ballot language because she is fully committed to communicating to the community that this referendum will benefit the schools. So that, based on that conversation I had with her, and based on the email that I received yesterday from Mrs. Seifert, I have changed my viewpoint, that I am fine with the language that is proposed here.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that lets you keep our conversation pretty short and be able to finalize.
Sometimes you get to talk first, huh?
Well, thank you.
So I think the other thing that we had to talk about was the workforce development piece and what we wanted, how we wanted to describe that. So it was to provide workforce development, and we had suggestions of enhance or support, but what about to continue workforce development instead of enhance or support? Anyone?
I think enhance is a better word because it means that we're gonna dynamically still, I mean, we've done a tremendous job in a lot of areas in the last years on the board. In this particular area, it's been leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And I think the community has recognized that.
Yes.
So I think it's important that they understand that we're not gonna stop just
Yeah.
because we've gotten here. That we're gonna enhance what we've already built. So I like enhance.
So we'll have enhance on there two
Twice,
times
that's
then.
the only- yeah,
So you're gonna have enhanced student achievement
enhance school security,
and to enhance.
and enhance will be 3 times, because we have enhanced school security, enhanced student achievement, and then enhanced.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
We could do continue school security, or we could do support school security, we could use those words.
How about expand,
Expand.
to expand workforce development? Because I like the idea, I want it to be conveyed that we have a strong workforce program, that, as Bob said, that we're going to,
Continue.
that we're gonna use this money to keep building on what we already have.
Okay, so
I like that
expand.
term as well. Expand works well to get. Okay.
Yeah, I like that word. Yeah, if we're gonna change it from provide, I think the expand fits better. That's fine, on that. Anything else on that?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, we did having enhanced 2 times still, and then.
I think
We
we're
had
okay.
it
They're
enhanced
spread
2
out.
times last time.
Yeah.
And it's spread out.
Okay.
It's not- Boom.
Alright. That's it,
So to expand.
yeah, to expand workforce development.
We're still getting rid of the beginning July first.
But elevate student achievement. Just
Fine with
looking
that.
for-
Yeah,
I was
I-
looking for another word besides enhance, elevate.
Emphasize, elevate, anything along those lines will work. And if we're worried about redundancy with terminology, any of those terms will be fine. Just so I think what we're trying to use is a variety of words for magnify.
Yes.
Um,
Well, you gotta remember your population of readers as well,
Let's keep it simple,
the voters.
Well,
very simple.
And this language was included in the polling that we received.
and I also like to emphasize that, I think the addition of a voice on the committee from the charter areas at Babcock is really a step in the right direction, and I think it'll play well.
It'll actually be 2 new voices, and we talked to Marcia, and so one will represent charter schools, and that will be Shannon Treese, and then one will represent the Babcock community, and we're working on that.
Because we have the 2 charter schools at
Yeah.
SW too, so I'm sure that they'll work together
Correct.
with Michelle.
And we will, as we always have, make sure that we are making presentations to those groups and, you know, any questions. And our website has always talked about that the money is shared, even the first year when it wasn't required. That's something we've always done, always believed in, so we'll make sure, extra sure, especially with the large number out there at Babcock, that we get out there.
And the fact that they vote, and not just there's a
Yes.
large number, they come out and they do vote,
Yes.
they're very solid.
Do they?
They,
I don't know, I haven't
yeah,
looked at those numbers.
you will find that they do.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. A lot of them, they're all new though, most of them are, not most of them, but a lot are from out of state. So they don't, that was part of my conversation with Mrs. Treese, was they don't have a good understanding of how charters operate here in Florida, because they may be operated differently wherever they came from, so.
All right,
Thank you for all your work.
For clarity, so that Kristen, make sure she gets it right, so, we are, instead of provide, we are to expand workforce development, and that statement stays the same. And we're keeping the to enhance student achievement and to enhance school security.
So you're good with even the enhanced ones?
Okay. Anything else on that? You guys
So what we'll do is, Mr. McKinley's looked at this, the several options. I'd like for him to put eyes on this just one more time to make sure that what we approve is legally sound. I believe it is, but we'll just have him vet it one more time, and then, if there are any objections, we'll put this on the February board meeting for adoption.
And then it has to go, there's like a vote that the county commission has to take, right?
I believe,
They do.
yeah, after.
In May, they're gonna be here.
Probably it was in April.
Mine was.
I'm not sure the timeline, but I believe we have to vote, we have to approve ours first before
Yeah.
we can send it to them.
And if someone would please email me that language, I'd appreciate it. Then we'll share it with the committee in our next meeting.
I think the next meeting, Bob, are you scheduled to do that, or are you still able to make that, or?
Madam Brains, it tells me where I have to go. Am I at that next one? The next,
Yes, for success.
yes for success? Me? Okay, all right, thank you. If not, if I'm supposed to be there, I'll be there.
Sounds good, all right.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for doing this. It's easy. I thought I was gonna have to argue. I was gonna bring up the old 7 habits and ending mine and all that.
Well, let's sit back down.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any district updates? Okay, school board committee reports, Baker.
Just that we did meet and, everything that, we discussed in the agenda or on board docs, so take a look at it every time you get a chance.
And then a workshop?
They didn't send it, they weren't completed yet.
Okay, so, we'll work on it.
Yes.
Very quickly. All right.
All right, thanks. So if there's anybody want to attend the workshop? All right, I'll turn it back